Consumer confidence ticked lower in June as Americans say elevated prices, especially for food and groceries, weighed on their views of the economy. Our own Jennifer Schonberger asked Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen in an exclusive interview about the inflation that we're seeing in grocery prices, and here's what she had to say.
Well, I think largely it reflects cost increases, including labor cost increases that grocery firms have experienced, although there may be some increases in margins. Earlier today, I met with a group of CEOs, including the CEO of Target, and they explained and they've announced that they understand that households are struggling with costs, including food costs, and they have undertaken cuts in the price of bread, milk, diapers, other core purchases that are necessities for households. And I think that's to be applauded. I think that kind of thing is helpful.
So the Treasury Secretary there saying which companies she was speaking with, but are companies doing enough to help fight inflation? Joining me now, we've got Robert Sockin, who is the Citi Senior Global Economist here. Robert, great to speak with you and get your perspective on this. Are companies doing enough to help fight inflation?
Thanks so much for having me. And it's a real challenge, as you noted. If you look at the consumer confidence numbers that you highlighted, people are feeling these price changes that we've had over the last several years. And even though food inflation is now running at relatively low levels, you still had an enormous increase over this cycle. And so the cumulative gain has been very high, and people are seeing that at the stores. I think right now, one positive thing is that income has been growing as well. And so as income has been growing and food inflation has cooled, that real sort of purchasing power of food has improved. And then two, as you noted, some companies are taking action to sort of help with these food issues. Secretary Yellen mentioned Target. You're also seeing some fast food chains starting to offer better value meals that could also aid in this issue. But it's a big problem for Americans. It's particularly a large problem for lower income households, which have more of their budget geared towards food. I think in particular, they're feeling the strain from these price increases we've had over the last few years.
How effective do you think the value meals will be, as we've seen even more of them rolled out recently, in trying to make sure that consumers are able to have an option to offset some of those higher prices?
I think, especially if you see more adoption of these types of policies, it would be helpful. But as you said, in a broader sense, the bigger problem is that you've had large gains in food prices over the cycle, and really it's taking time for people to adjust to these much higher prices. And as I've noted, as we've gotten income gains, that real purchasing power has improved and is likely to continue to improve given that food inflation is still running at relatively low levels. So I do expect that the problem will feel less burdensome over time, but hopefully we will see more policies like we've seen from Target and these other fast food chains, because I do think, again, where you're seeing the most strain is in lower income households. And those types of policies, I think, would really help alleviate the pinch that people are feeling at the grocery store and when they go out to eat.
Yeah, one of the other elements within this conference, consumer confidence reading, was on the 6-month moving average basis, purchasing plans for homes, largely unchanged, remained historically low in June. And home prices hitting new highs, according to the latest Case-Shiller data. So this all compounded. Our own Jennifer Schonberger actually asked Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen about the work President Biden is doing to address housing affordability. I want to play the clip for you and get your response on the other side.
I don't want to say that there's a silver bullet. I think we look to Congress to do much more. President Biden has proposed a program that would lead to the construction of 2 million new housing units, which it would really make a sizable dent in the problem that we face.
So is enough being done to help make housing more affordable?
I think this is another big challenge. If you think about the two things that people probably care most about when it comes to prices, it's probably the price of food and it's the price of housing. And we have seen in this cycle a really challenging dynamic where demand for housing has softened from where it was earlier in the cycle as the Fed has hiked interest rates, but supply has been very low, and so that combination of still okay demand and very low supply has led to pickup in housing prices and very poor affordability. So I think what really has to happen is sort of twofold. One, more housing supply will need to come onto the market to bring the market into better balance. I think probably as the Fed starts to ease up on interest rates, you're going to see more supply flood the market, and that should help with some of that imbalance in affordability. And the second factor, as you noted, is there's a policy element here. More can be done in terms of affordable housing. I know there's an exploration in many cities about what to do with excess office space, if some of that can be converted into affordable housing or other types of housing to alleviate supply issues. These issues I think are front and center, and I think more can be done on the policy side because I think going forward, even when the Fed starts to lower interest rates and more supply comes online, that's not going to fully alleviate the issues of affordability we're seeing.
Yeah, Robert, at this point, many of us have probably seen that viral video or some of the images of a former baseball stadium that was turned into housing. And so why couldn't we do that with some of the commercial real estate that's out there or office real estate that's just sitting at this juncture? Robert, thanks so much for taking the time. Certainly appreciate it. Citi Senior Global Economist. Great to see you.